So when I decided I was going to make the second channel, I actually did have the intention of making content that was not going to be MMA content. And then I kind of just sort of didn't necessarily run out of video ideas. I would just sort of say I kind of run out of the motivation to make more MMA content outside of prediction content, because to be honest with you, it does just take a lot of time. I feel like it's those guys that have to cover the NBA draft, they spend a whole year looking into college basketball, into international basketball to create their big boards. And I feel like it's kind of almost like that, except on a much, much smaller scale every single week for the UFC. So I kind of just got burnt out making secondary content. So I kind of just thought I'll talk about the NBA. Now, I don't necessarily think that many people necessarily care about what I think about the NBA, but I thought that I would give away a few takes because I do have a bit of time on my hands, and I have been very impressed, actually, by the Summer League so far. And I know that there have been other standouts, obviously, like Cam Boozer. And, of course, we did see the number 2 overall pick, Darren Peterson, drop 28 points in his Summer League debut. And I'm sure that probably quelled a couple of narratives regarding him, regarding his injury concerns, this and that. And I also think that the Jazz could be fun to watch. But I want to talk about Darrius Acuff Jr. because when you think about the Sacramento Kings, you don't necessarily think of a fan base that can be super, super happy at the moment, because they are a team that I actually would credit for taking quite a few big swings, but then missing on those big swings. You think about the Kings, and over the last couple of years, you can always sort of rely on the Kings to make some big moves. Whether or not those big moves really worked out well or not, they still have made, big moves. They picked up Westbrook, but they've made big trades, big swings for Zach LaVine on his big contract. They got DeMar DeRozan. They've maintained Domantas Sabonis for quite a few years now, and he's always sort of been a pretty fun player to watch. I've got to watch that one, obviously, because I'm used to talking about MMA at this point. Keegan Murray has had his moments, but he spent most of the year last year getting injured, unfortunately. Killian Hayes is a pretty fun one. I think he's been waived, but they had an opportunity in this draft to maybe get a very good pick because they did have one of the worst seasons in the NBA, and now with the new lottery, it wouldn't work out this way, but they had a very good chance at getting the top 4 pick, and they fell all the way down to 7. And number 7, I think, is the furthest they could have fallen. But I feel like in some ways they actually got lucky in a way, because Darrius Acuff Jr. fell to them at 7 in the draft, and then on top of that, the pre-draft sort of rumors, the pre-draft news was that the Kings wanted Darrius Acuff Jr., and on top of that, Darrius Acuff Jr. wanted to go to the Kings. You don't really hear a lot of players going out there saying that they want to become a Sacramento King. No disrespect to them. I'm a Portland Trail Blazers fan. Do you think that many players are talking about how much they love the Blazers? No. So I feel like it was a pretty rare opportunity for the Kings to pick up a young player that wanted to go there, and maybe he might be getting partnered up with Jalen Duren, but that may be another story. But Darrius Acuff Jr. was always sort of regarded coming out of college, from what I was doing the research on and what I was hearing from other people, as a very fun sort of offensive player. He wasn't going to be doing much on defense, but he was going to be very fun to watch, and he was going to make the Kings fun to watch. And I always thought, that's going to be quite interesting. And we've got one Summer League game, and everyone says don't overreact to Summer League, but I see exactly everything that the people were talking about. I think he only played 25 minutes in the Summer League game, and he put up 29 shots. 29 shots in 30 minutes. He only made 9 of them, went 1 of 9 from 3, but he just didn't stop shooting. And when you watch the highlights, it's very fun to watch. He's creating a lot of isolation. He's getting a lot of mid-range shots up there. He's missing a couple of these. He's missing a lot of threes. A lot of the threes that he's taking aren't open threes either. He's trying to hit threes over defenders, but my goodness, he's just playing really fun basketball. And I think that is sort of a talking point about the Sacramento Kings, because he's someone that has already sort of embraced the fan base. And I was all very impressed by Darrius Acuff Jr. when he was going towards the Kings facility for the first time. He was stepping out of the bus that he was in. He was greeting the fans that were there at the airports to greet him and shaking their hands and things. And I thought, this is going to be a pretty cool sort of franchise guy for the Sacramento Kings, who have good players. As I said at the start of the video, this is actually a team that has a lot of fun individual pieces, As I said, Domantas Sabonis is a guy that picks up Not a lot of rebounds, but he's an assist merchant. He puts up a crazy amount of stats. DeMar DeRozan has obviously found a lot of success in other organizations himself. Zach LaVine's on a bad contract, but he's still a good offensive player. In fact, some Bulls fans think that Caleb Walston shouldn't wear the number 8. That's how highly some Bulls fans regard Zach LaVine's career in the Bulls organization, which I think is interesting. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get on and talk about this Darrius Acuff Jr. game. I thought he was just super, super fun to watch. Yeah, as I said, he's just going to be a very big offensive player, not necessarily going to play a lot of defense, but I think he is going to make the Sacramento Kings a fun team to watch. And there's a couple of other teams that I'm very, very excited about watching in the next season, such as even the Memphis Grizzlies. They've just gone all in on the young guys. I know they've got Jeremy Grant after the trade, but they're another team that I'm going to be keeping my eye out. But I thought I'd just kind of put out this video, give my opinion on this, and then if you guys want to hear my opinion on other trades and things like that, let me know, because I am a pretty big NBA fan, and definitely recording videos time and time again would keep me honest on keeping up with the NBA and what's going on.